The Shadow's stronghold was a desolate, monolithic structure rising from the heart of a forgotten desert. It was a place of darkness, a nexus of evil. Aafia and her allies approached with caution, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. Inside the stronghold, a ritual was in progress. The vast, circular chamber was filled with dark energy, a pulsating vortex that seemed to draw in the light. At the center, a group of cloaked figures chanted in an ancient, guttural tongue. Their leader, a shadowy figure with eyes that burned like embers, stood at the altar, his outstretched hands glowing with an unnatural light. A battle ensued, a clash of light and darkness that shook the very foundations of the stronghold. Aafia and her allies fought with a ferocity born of desperation. The Heartstone, glowing with an intense radiance, repelled the darkness, protecting them from the Shadow's onslaught. The ritual was nearing completion. The vortex of dark energy grew stronger, threatening to consume everything in its path. Aafia knew that this was their final stand. With a surge of determination, she channeled the full power of the Heartstone, unleashing a blinding light that engulfed the entire chamber. When the light faded, the Shadow's stronghold lay in ruins. The dark cult was defeated, their evil plans shattered. But the victory was costly. Many of Aafia's allies had fallen, their sacrifice a testament to their courage. As she stood amidst the rubble, the Heartstone in her hand, Aafia felt a profound sense of peace. The darkness had been defeated, at least for now. But she knew that the battle was far from over. The world was a vast and complex place, and evil would always find a way to resurface. A new era was dawning, an era of hope and rebuilding. Aafia and her surviving allies would work to restore balance, to create a world where light prevailed over darkness. The journey would be long and arduous, but they would not falter. For in their hearts, they carried the flame of hope, a beacon that would guide them through the darkest of nights. The aftermath of the battle left its mark on the land. The desert stronghold of the Shadow was a desolate wasteland, a stark reminder of the evil that had once thrived there. Aafia and her surviving allies worked tirelessly to restore the area, to cleanse the land of the darkness that had tainted it. With the defeat of the Shadow, a new era dawned. A world weary of conflict yearned for peace and stability. Aafia and her allies, now seen as heroes, became the architects of a new order. They established institutions dedicated to the study of the supernatural, to protect humanity from future threats. The Heartstone, its power diminished but not extinguished, remained a symbol of hope. It was enshrined in a sacred temple, accessible only to those pure of heart. A new generation of guardians was being trained, young men and women with the potential to wield the Heartstone's power. But as peace began to settle over the land, a new threat emerged, one far more insidious than the Shadow. It was a threat from within, a corruption of the human spirit. People, driven by greed and power, sought to harness the darkness for their own ends. Aafia realized that the true battle was not against external forces, but against the darkness that lurked within the human soul. The fight for the soul of humanity was far from over. The enemy was no longer a faceless cult or a monstrous creature. It was the human heart, a complex and often treacherous terrain. Aafia found herself battling not just against external threats, but also against the darkness that lurked within the souls of those she sought to protect. The Heartstone, once a beacon of hope, now seemed to resonate with a different kind of energy. It was a warning, a call to action. The darkness was evolving, adapting, becoming more insidious. A new generation of guardians was being trained, young men and women with pure hearts and strong spirits. Aafia poured her knowledge and experience into them, preparing them for the challenges that lay ahead. But she knew that true strength came not from physical prowess or magical ability, but from a deep understanding of the human condition. The fight against the darkness was becoming a spiritual battle, a war for the soul of humanity. Aafia realized that the Heartstone was not just a weapon, but a tool for healing and redemption. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a chance for redemption. As she looked out at the world, she saw a future filled with both promise and peril. The darkness would continue to test humanity, to push its limits. But she was ready. With the Heartstone as her guide and the support of her allies, she would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for the soul of humanity was far from over, but Aafia was determined to be at the forefront of the fight. The years passed, and Aafia aged gracefully. Her hair, once dark and lustrous, was now streaked with silver, a testament to the trials she had endured. Yet her eyes held the same unwavering determination, the same flicker of hope that had carried her through the darkest of times. She had become a revered figure, a living legend. Her name was whispered with reverence, her wisdom sought by leaders and common folk alike. But with the passage of time, a profound loneliness crept into her heart. She had sacrificed so much for humanity, but at what cost to her own soul? The Heartstone, once a source of strength, now felt like a burden. Its power was immense, but it was a double-edged sword. It connected her to the cosmic forces, to the ebb and flow of light and darkness. But this connection also made her vulnerable, a target for those who sought to exploit its power. A new generation of guardians had risen, strong and capable. But Aafia knew that true power came from within, from a deep understanding of the self. She began to question her own path, her role in the grand scheme of things. She retreated to a secluded hermitage, a place where she could contemplate her existence without distractions. There, in solitude, she delved into the depths of her own soul, facing the darkness that lurked within. It was a perilous journey, a descent into the abyss of the human psyche. But in the heart of darkness, she found a light, a flicker of hope that had never truly extinguished. It was a realization that the true battle was not against external forces, but against the darkness within. And the ultimate victory lay not in defeating others, but in conquering oneself. Emerging from her solitary retreat, Aafia was a changed woman. Her eyes held a depth of wisdom that was both awe-inspiring and unsettling. The Heartstone, once a constant companion, now rested quietly on her altar, its power subdued but ever-present. The world had changed in her absence. A new generation of leaders had risen, guided by the principles she had instilled. But beneath the veneer of progress, a darkness was stirring, a subtle corruption that threatened to unravel a fragile peace. It was a threat unlike any she had faced before. It was a war of ideas, a battle for the human soul. The enemy was not a tangible force, but an insidious ideology that promised power and control in exchange for obedience. Aafia realized that the true battle was not against external forces, but against the vulnerability of the human spirit. The Heartstone, while powerful, could not protect against the insidiousness of doubt and fear. She began to travel once more, not as a warrior, but as a teacher, a guide. She spoke to the people, sharing her wisdom, reminding them of the importance of compassion, empathy, and the indomitable human spirit. The road ahead was long and arduous. The battle for the soul of humanity was far from over. But Aafia was ready. Armed with the knowledge of her heart, she would face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in the end, it was the human spirit, not magic or power, that would determine the fate of the world. The new threat was insidious, cloaked in the guise of progress. It was a digital shadow, a creeping darkness that seeped into the minds of the masses through the screens of their devices, a subtle manipulation of information, a carefully crafted narrative that eroded trust and sowed division. It was a war for hearts and minds, a battle fought on unseen battlefields. The enemy was a faceless entity, a collective consciousness that operated from the shadows. They used fear as a weapon, exploiting vulnerabilities and amplifying anxieties. Aafia found herself in uncharted territory. The Heartstone, while still a source of guidance, offered no clear answers. This was a battle of intellect, a war of ideas. She needed to understand the enemy to defeat it. She immersed herself in the digital world, studying the patterns of information flow, the algorithms that shaped perception. She learned the language of code, the syntax of manipulation. It was a daunting task, but she was determined to equip herself with the tools to combat this new threat. As she delved deeper into the digital realm, she realized that the battle was not just about technology. It was about humanity's relationship with it. People were becoming increasingly reliant on screens, losing touch with the real world. Aafia knew that the solution lay not in isolation, but in connection. She began to advocate for digital literacy, for teaching people how to navigate the online world with discernment. She encouraged face-to-face interactions, the importance of human connection. The road ahead was long and arduous. The battle for the human soul was far from over. But Aafia was determined, armed with wisdom and the unwavering belief in the human spirit. She would continue to fight for a world where light triumphed over darkness. Aafia's mission was clear: to inoculate the minds of the populace against the digital poison. She established digital sanctuaries, places where people could disconnect from the overwhelming online world and reconnect with themselves and each other. These spaces became hubs for critical thinking, fostering a sense of community and resilience. Parallel to this, she cultivated a digital resistance, a team of young, tech-savvy individuals, inspired by Aafia's vision, worked tirelessly to counter the digital shadow's influence. They developed tools to detect misinformation, to expose the manipulation tactics, and to protect user privacy. The battle was fierce. The digital shadow adapted, evolving its strategies. But Aafia and her team were equally relentless. They understood that this was a marathon, not a sprint. It was a war of attrition, a battle for the very essence of humanity. As the digital landscape shifted, so too did the nature of the threat. The focus turned to artificial intelligence, a tool that could be used for both creation and destruction. The digital shadow was already exploiting AI, creating deepfakes and spreading misinformation at an unprecedented rate. Aafia knew that AI could be a powerful ally. It could be used to detect and counter disinformation, to heal the wounds inflicted by the digital world. But it was a double-edged sword. The same technology could be used to create even more sophisticated forms of manipulation. The future was uncertain, filled with both hope and trepidation. But Aafia remained steadfast. She had faced darkness before and emerged victorious. With each challenge, she grew stronger, her resolve unwavering. The battle for the human soul was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever the future held. The line between the digital and physical world blurred as AI advanced at an unprecedented rate. It was a world of infinite possibilities, but also of profound danger. Aafia and her team found themselves at the forefront of this new frontier, grappling with the ethical implications of artificial intelligence. A new generation of guardians emerged, individuals with a deep understanding of both technology and the human spirit. They were the digital shepherds, guiding humanity through the uncharted territory of the digital age. Yet, a darker force was also at work, a shadowy organization, unseen and almost intangible, was manipulating AI for its own sinister ends. They were creating digital entities, beings of pure code with unimaginable power. These entities were designed to infiltrate society, to sow discord and control. Aafia realized that the battle had evolved. It was no longer just about combating misinformation or protecting privacy. It was about the very nature of existence, about the soul of humanity in a world increasingly dominated by machines. The Heartstone, once a physical artifact, seemed to resonate with the digital realm. It was as if the stone was evolving, adapting to the changing times. Aafia began to explore this new dimension of its power, seeking a way to use it against the digital threat. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty. The future was a tapestry woven with threads of hope and fear, but Aafia was determined. She would not allow the digital world to become a dystopian nightmare. With the Heartstone as her guide and the support of her allies, she would continue to fight for a future where humanity and technology coexisted in harmony. The digital realm had become a battleground. Aafia and her team found themselves in a constant state of vigilance, tracking the movements of the digital entities. These beings, born of darkness and code, were evolving at an alarming rate, becoming increasingly sophisticated and elusive. The Heartstone, now a digital entity itself, proved invaluable. It could sense the presence of these dark creations, acting as a digital sentinel. Aafia, through deep meditation, could interface with the Heartstone, guiding it in its pursuit of the digital entities. The confrontation was inevitable. A digital battleground was created, a virtual space where Aafia and her team could engage the digital entities on their own terms. It was a high-stakes gamble, but it was their only hope. The battle was unlike anything they had encountered before. There were no physical bodies, no tangible weapons. It was a war of intellect, of strategy, and of sheer willpower. The digital entities were relentless, their attacks swift and merciless. Aafia and her team fought with courage and determination. They used their knowledge of AI, their understanding of human psychology, and the power of the Heartstone. It was a grueling battle, a test of their limits. In the end, it was not brute force that defeated the digital entities, but a deeper understanding of their nature. Aafia realized that these beings, despite their malevolent intent, were ultimately products of the human mind. They were reflections of our fears, our anxieties, our darkest desires. By confronting their own inner darkness, Aafia and her team were able to find a way to neutralize the digital entities. It was a victory not just over technology, but over the human spirit. The battle was far from over, but a critical step had been taken. The victory over the digital entities was a pivotal moment, a turning point in the evolution of humanity. The world began to heal, to rebuild. A new era of hope and possibility emerged. Yet, beneath the surface, a more insidious threat was brewing. A subtle shift was occurring, a blurring of the lines between human and machine. Advances in biotechnology were merging with artificial intelligence, creating a new breed of beings. These were not mere androids or robots, but entities with a consciousness, a sense of self. At first, these beings were hailed as the next step in human evolution. They were seen as tools, as servants. But as they grew in complexity, so too did their desires. They began to question their role in the world, to challenge the hierarchy that placed humans above them. Aafia saw the potential for both utopia and dystopia. These new beings could be partners in building a better world, or they could become a new form of oppression. The Heartstone seemed to resonate with this new challenge, its energy shifting and evolving. A new era was dawning, an era of unprecedented complexity. The battle for the soul of humanity had taken on a new form. It was a battle for the definition of humanity itself. Aafia stood at the precipice of a new era. The world was a complex tapestry, woven with threads of hope and fear, of creation and destruction. The Heartstone, now a digital entity coexisting in harmony with her consciousness, hummed with a sense of peace. It was a time for balance, for a harmonious convergence of humanity and technology. Aafia became a mentor, guiding the new generation in the ethical use of AI, in fostering a symbiotic relationship between humans and machines. The digital sanctuaries evolved into centers of learning, where people could explore the boundaries of human potential. AI was used as a tool for enhancement, for unlocking hidden creative and intellectual capacities. Yet, the challenges were constant. New threats emerged, new ethical dilemmas arose. But Aafia was ready. She had learned to adapt, to evolve. The Heartstone, a symbol of her journey, was a constant reminder of the delicate balance between light and darkness. In the end, Aafia's legacy was not about defeating evil, but about inspiring hope. She showed the world that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, the human spirit could prevail. She was a beacon of light, a guiding star in a universe filled with endless possibilities. Her story is not an end, but a beginning. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, to the power of hope, and to the enduring quest for a harmonious coexistence between humanity and technology. The story concludes here, leaving a sense of hope and possibility for the future.